So Alabama gets a big win and they improve Saturday. But according to the new AP poll, things are about to get rough.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by Game Time, and we'll talk about Game Time here in just a little bit. I want to thank you everydayers for being here every day. Thank you newbies for being here today, and thanks everybody for making us your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. We appreciate you, even the ones who make fun of the size of my head. I appreciate all of you.
Big giant freakhead. That was a Seinfeld thing.
That is, oh, yeah, that was another thing. Even the ones who don't like all the Seinfeld references. I also want to give a quick shout out to, I didn't get his name. I usually do, but there was a young lad yesterday at the basketball tournament at Hoops in Birmingham. My daughter's team, 8-year-old daughter, she was the only girls team in the whole thing. And they didn't win any games because they were playing against a bunch of dudes. But I was super proud of her. She scored a few times, and it's just a different animal. I mean, but it was very cool. And a kid comes up to me and says, "Hey," I mean, he couldn't have been more than 13, I would say, maybe 14. And he said he watches all the time and appreciate him. And I wish I'd gotten his name. I got a picture with him. He wanted a picture, so I got a picture. It's pretty cool. Okay, lots of stuff to go over. We can wrap up this ULM thing. I wanted to, this is, maybe some people don't even give a rip. I do as part of the HSA Radio Network. But did you know the two leading receivers in the SEC are from the state of Alabama, and neither one of them play in the state of Alabama? Do you know who they are?
The leading receivers in the SEC after 2 games.
Mhm.
I do not. I have not looked at that, and you're about to surprise me. Although Mario Craver might be one.
You nailed it. He's number 2 over at Texas A&M, and I like him a ton. I really do, and I would have been fine if he had transferred to Bama. But the other one is Harrison Wallace, who I think he played at Central Phoenix City, but I'm not 100%. But he went to Penn State and transferred to Ole Miss, and he is the leading receiver in the SEC. I just think that's pretty cool for the state of Alabama to have the 2 leading receivers. Now, I wish they played at Alabama, but so we got a pretty good receiving room as it is. In fact, that's probably where we'll start. I know you and I wanted to talk about the freshmen that made impacts this weekend, and there were a ton. I'm going off the top of my head. I don't have anything written down. Lotzier Brooks,
Yep.
Kaleb Edwards. Who else would you say? Keelan Russell made an impression on me. A.K. Deere, Michael Carroll.
Carroll.
I mean,
London Simmons.
London Simmons.
Think of all of who London
Dijon Lee.
Dijon Lee played more snaps at corner than Zabian or Damani did. Now, some of that is because they emptied the bench and played a lot of the bench late. And again, I had no real issues with substitutions this week because obviously it's who you're playing and your big lead. And, last week I was complaining a lot about it, but this week, not all. But Luke's right, the true freshman. And the thing is, what's exciting to me is so many of these true freshmen look like future major impactful difference makers like Brooks, like A.K. Deere, like Keelan, like Michael Carroll, who they got in the game early. They wanted to take a long look at him at right tackle. I'm a Wilkin Formby fan more than most, but Wilkin, watch out. Watch out. Here comes Big Mike Carroll, because they put him in before they put any of the, he literally split time with Formby at right tackle. Maybe that's going to be a rotation. I don't know, but they clearly were excited to take a longer look at Mike Carroll. Kaleb Edwards is a guy we should spend an entire show on. Again, late arrival, true freshman, and look who he's leapfrogged to be in his position. He leapfrogs Samarco, who's an older, experienced player. He leapfrogs Brody Dalton, a fifth-year senior who's started college football games. Leapfrogs him. Leapfrogs Jay Lindsey, who was running number 1 with the tight ends quite a bit this spring. He's ahead, and of course his fellow teammate, position mate Marshall Pritchett, who was here the entirety of the spring, and Kaleb Edwards was not. And Kaleb Edwards is clearly our second tight end, and we play 2 a bunch. When we play 2, Cuevas is the H, Kaleb Edwards is the Y. he's phenomenal, and he caught his first touchdown pass this weekend. He's going to be a major player at Alabama over the next, well, I hope 3 years, but it's looking like it might be just 2 more years.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I'm with you. Only you and I had a gripe about too many subs against Florida State because you can't really get in a rhythm.
Mhm.
And so I think what's great about subbing in this game is we did get to see some people who they can make a move. If Kaleb Edwards started from here on out, I'd be fine with it. Now, I mean, Cuevas is great, so don't get me wrong. But if Michael Carroll does take the spot of Wilkin Formby, I don't think anybody's going to blink an eye. And the thing about Carroll is he seems to have a nastier disposition than Formby. And that's not a shot at Formby. That is saying I think Carroll's disposition is nastier than most.
No, that's right. That's the reputation, is he gets between the lines, and he's a nasty player, but we mean that in a complimentary way. He's mean. It's a position where the meaner you are, the better. So long as you know your assignments. That's the big thing about, heck, we have seniors, I think, who miss some assignments against Florida State. And then there's NFL players. It's complicated down there when the defensive line is running stunts and twists and they blitz from different spots, and the guy you're about to block falls back into coverage, and then here comes a linebacker. Who to block can get really complicated down there, even for older, experienced players. For true freshmen, it's literally like being thrown in the deep end with no floaties. So it's a hard spot for true freshmen, to say nothing of who you're blocking. You're coming out of high school, and now the SEC, obviously it didn't happen against Monroe, but the SEC is full of pass rushers who are going to be high level picks in the NFL draft. And that's who you're being asked to block. So I don't think that we're turning over right tackle to Michael Carroll just yet, but it's clear they want to take a long look at him. And I won't be surprised if it ends up long-term being a rotational thing there, similar to what we did with Gito Vandermark and Jaden Roberts a year ago, and what's looking like with Vandermark and Roberts now, because Vandermark started, but Roberts played quite a bit on Saturday.
Yeah, and I want to go back to, I know he's not necessarily not a freshman in this class, but Kevin Riley. But I'm still super high on him. He's now Alabama's leading rusher, I believe, at 100 yards total. I mean, in 2 games. Look, that's averaging 50 yards a game, and I know it's not wonderful, but I think that's going to go up. I think I have no reason to think he won't start against Wisconsin.
Yeah, Richard Young only played about 9 or 10 snaps total in this game. Who started?
Was there a reason for that?
Well, they substituted a lot, but I think it's just Kevin Riley. I mean, he was the starter. He played a ton. Daniel Hill got the second most. It's kind of hard to count snaps in this game because they went to the bench so early because of the blowout. So it's hard to count snaps as going by, okay, this is the pecking order based on snaps played. So I wouldn't read too much into that. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is Rich Young was the starter against Florida State. Now he's definitely behind Riley. He may be behind Daniel Hill. Here comes A.K. Deer. Hey, it's just me. Maybe if A.K. Deer can block, and we don't really know that, but I think the way I would do things, and Lord knows we're all very grateful I'm not in charge, but I think A.K. Deer earned snaps with that 56-yard touchdown run. That's how I would do it. Now, you can't put him out there if that means the quarterback's going to get hit. So I don't know enough about that just yet in terms of whether he should be out there more often, because I don't care how I don't care that you're a home run hitter at running back. You can't get the quarterback hit. That's rule number 1.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board there. And the thing, I rewatched a lot of the game last night, and what stood out on A.K. Deer's run, and again, it was late, and maybe ULM had completely mailed it in, whatever. You can see the acceleration.
Somebody had an angle on him on that play, right?
He had an angle on
somebody from Monroe had a good angle, and AK outran him anyway.
You could see the acceleration. You can see the talent. It's one of those where, I've brought this play up a million times. The Derrick Henry run against Arkansas, one of the times we beat them a gazillion to nothing late in the game, we put him in. He goes 80 yards, and everybody's like, what in the world was that? By the way, Derrick Henry, I know he fumbled late yesterday, and that's going to really tick him off. I mean, he's gonna pity the fool who plays them next because he's going to be ticked off. Derrick Henry is quickly becoming he may end up being the best running back of all time. I mean, that sounds ridiculous to say in a way because we're in the middle of it, but holy cow, was he fun to watch last night. Again, the fumble was bad. There's no denying, but man, he is just an animal.
If you take into account high school, college, and the NFL, Derrick has to be in the argument for the greatest running back of all time because he's been dominating at each of those three levels in a historic fashion. Three.
He stiff-armed that man so hard last night. Have you seen the highlight?
I have not. Okay. I watch very little Bills and Ravens, and I'm sitting here hating myself for not. I might try to find it today on NFL Network because it's incredible game.
But because a guy was coming at him, he pushed him down so hard. When he pushed him down, his head hit the turf and bounced way up. Like it was like, oh my God, Derrick Henry stiff-armed a man into a concussion. It was incredible. It was wild. But okay, when we come back, we're going to talk about the AP poll because according to that poll, things for Alabama just got a lot tougher. I need to tell you guys about Supply House right now, though. Appreciate Supply House being such a great sponsor. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. If you need parts fast for a project, Supply House has next-day delivery. That is a game changer, folks. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping or lower pricing and a dedicated support line. That's a big deal. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5, SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people and real service at Supply House. All right, my favorite one, y'all's favorite one, some of y'all's, Game Time. I love Game Time. I've used it a million times. I don't even look at the live read a lot of times because I've used it so much. And I've told you I've used it for NFL, college football, college basketball, college baseball, MLB, soccer, concerts, comedy shows, everything. I've used it for everything. I love it. College football, of course, is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. There's endless queues and hidden fees and prices jumping up at checkout, crazy stuff. But right now, that's why I use Game Time, the app that gives you the advantage and gives the advantage back to all fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. You don't want those surprise fees. That's not a good surprise. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, as they do with everything. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, download Game Time today. That's a Jimmy Stein guarantee. So the AP poll comes out, and Auburn gets in there for the first time since 2021. That's fair. That is wild. That's a wild stat.
I mean, they're 2-0, solid road win over a Power 4 team in there. That's fair.
Yeah, I'd put them in. I have no problem putting them in. I'm just saying they're in for the first time since 2021. That is a wild stat.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's crazy.
Now, the other thing, Alabama moves up to 19. And you know me, I'm for whatever reason, I'm big into these streaks that Alabama's had, and of course we've had some of them broken recently. But the AP poll streak, I really want to keep that going as long as we can. I'd really love to. I think it's Nebraska that has the longest streak, and I would love to break that. I mean, it'd be a few more years, but I'd love to break it. And so, looking ahead, assuming we beat Wisconsin, and then we have an off week. We have a golden opportunity to move up probably into the top 15 again because some teams in front of us should be dropping games. That being said, these are the teams we have remaining on our schedule, not including the number 10 team in the country we've already played on the road and lost to. It should be noted. We play number 3. We play number 6. We've already played number 10. We play number 11, number 13, number 15, number 24, and number 25. That is a ridiculous schedule.
Some of them on the road.
Georgia at 6 is on the road. Auburn and Missouri on the road. I think Oklahoma's 13. So 4 of those are on the road.
South Carolina's probably ranked, right?
Oh, South Carolina's on there too. Wait a minute. How am I getting?
They're certainly on there.
Oh, Oklahoma's not on the road. That's where I screwed up. It's South Carolina that's on the road. So 4 of those are on the road. And by the way, the number 10 team we played was on the road. So
if we ultimately don't make the playoff and have a disappointing season, that'll be the starting sentence to sum up. Not an excuse, but it's just a fact. This road schedule is just brutal, especially if you'd have told us before the season that Florida State was more like a top 10 or 15 team. If we'd known that going in and we looked at this road schedule every road team Alabama's playing is really good. They're all really good. And it's just hard to win on the road. I'm going to call it right now. I don't think that Georgia's going to beat Tennessee. Why? It's in Knoxville. It's hard to win on the road in this league against virtually anyone. Ask Ole Miss, who somewhat survived Kentucky. Ask the Big 12 champions who couldn't beat the worst team in the SEC on the road. It's tough. And Alabama's schedule, I read today, Luke, that FPI, ESPN's FPI says from this point on, Alabama has the 8th toughest schedule from this point on. They've already played a top 10 team on the road. You're playing the 8th toughest schedule from this point on and have already played a top 10 team on the road. I'm not going to be surprised at all, Luke, if at the end of this season that Alabama's schedule, number 1. It might be number 1. And we talked about Florida and Oklahoma's schedule being impossible, which it is. I don't rule out Alabama's being number 1, especially factoring in that home road situation.
And we're going to talk about the SEC overall in the third segment because things are beginning to take up some shape. Some things are just what we thought. Some things are absolutely not what we thought. But I love to look at the SEC on the whole. I think it's the best conference in the country. I thought it was funny. Danny Cannell put out one of his famous videos about how, South Florida goes into the swamp. There's the SEC overrated again. And that was the only non-con loss we had. And by the way, South Florida is pretty awesome. So that's something else to discuss.
They should be ranked really high who's got 2 better wins than Boise?
Well, they're ranked ahead of us, which is fine. I'm on board.
They should probably be in the top 10. Now, are they really one of the 10 best teams? I don't think so. I'm just saying Boise and Florida, that's
one on the road. Both of them are ranked.
Yeah, that's a great start. And boy, Alex Golish, I hope his agent's phone is working.
Well, I hope it's charged. They're going to Miami this week, and
he looks a lot like Tim Watts. You ever notice?
He does. He does.
He does a lot like Tim.
Gosh, that's a good call. All right, one other thing I wanted to touch on, and I kind of hate to, but I feel obligated to. Kadyn Proctor had what I think is just a sort of a downer of a quote after the game. Everything was coming up crimson this weekend. Again, I know who the opponent was, but I feel like I have to keep saying this on repeat. You can beat the crap out of somebody and look bad doing it, and you can, or you can beat the crap out of somebody and you say, okay, things got sharpened up a little bit. We looked sharp. If you want to discount it for the opponent, fine. I understand. I'm just saying that's kind of a tough way to live, if you ask me. But Kadyn Proctor had this to say. He said it felt good to silence some of the noise from the 40 to 50-year-old dudes who are sitting on their couch and criticizing the Alabama team. First of all, Jimmy and I are above 50. Secondly,
so he clearly wasn't talking about us because we're way over 50.
Well, he could have been talking about a ton of folks. And I think he was talking about a ton of folks. And I understand what he means. However, saying that out loud, in this era of NIL, when it's good to have some of those 40 to 50-year-old and older dudes contributing to all this, it's just not a good look. And also, here's the deal. Let's be honest. Kadyn, you weren't good against Florida State. You weren't good. Now, you played well against ULM, and we want it to keep going. I want you to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. There's no doubt. I would love for you. I'm
rooting for that to happen. We're pulling for that to happen.
We're pro Alabama. We're pro Kadyn Proctor. So it's when we say things like, hey, you didn't have a good game, it is not critical if it's right.
Yeah. Kadyn, are you satisfied with how you played against Florida State? Are you happy with that? I would guess you're not.
Yeah.
So it seems like you should be understanding when other people say, boy, Kadyn, that wasn't good. And we spent all summer here not just pointing out that Proctor was in the top 10 in a lot of these mock drafts, but supporting it, saying, oh yeah, how many times do I repeatedly say, finally healthy, finally in playing shape, finally experienced. He's never been all 3. Ends up, I'm not sure he's in super great playing shape. And that's not his fault. You got to realize he had surgery after the season. Yeah. He missed a lot of conditioning work because of rehabbing from the surgery. A lot of that's not really his fault. But no, I mean, the only time I think players should respond to criticism or be upset with criticism is when they're playing great and people are being unfair. I don't think anyone was being unfair to Kadyn based on how he played against Florida State. It was fair because, again, I don't think the kid's happy with how he played against Florida State.
And I think that's one of the things that keeps a player from being great is they're like, well, see, I am good. Okay, we all think you're good. We all think you're good. But being good and performing well are 2 different things. And so we want you to go out there and look, I hope you play like you did against ULM for the rest of the year. And I mean this with all sincerity. I want you to be number 1 pick in the draft. And I think you have that kind of potential. However, I think what was the stat on FSU? He gave up 6 pressures.
That's what PFF says, and I don't know how accurate that stuff is, but I'm not surprised. I mean, when I read that stat and after watching Proctor play, I'm not surprised that PFF said that. And by the way, he was matched up quite often, not on every snap, but quite often with a freshman at Florida State, and struggled at times. It wasn't a complete disaster. It wasn't like he was horrid from start to finish. He had his wins, but he got beat too much.
And like I said, I think he's also right that a lot of people sit on their couch or sit on their podcast and criticize. But that's why you are making money in NIL. That's why the sport has become so big, because there's all these other cottage industries of people who can do a podcast, and just 2 dudes that happen to be fans can say what they want to say. Now, sometimes, Jimmy, we are wrong. I know everybody's like, but sometimes we are. But about Kadyn Proctor and several members of the Alabama football team not having a good game against Florida State, we weren't wrong. It doesn't mean that we hate Alabama. It doesn't mean we hate you guys. I mean, it just means, hey, we know you're better than this. So, I mean, that's all we're saying.
Over 50, and there's not a couch in this room, and I don't think there's a couch in your office.
No, but there are several people who think I should be in an office with a couch quite often. Going to talk about the game cap now. Appreciate this new sponsor we have here. Quick question for all you college football fans. If you could go back in time and sit front row at your school's biggest rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Yes, I said hat. And Jimmy, I sent you your hat. If you have it in front of you, pick it up.
I don't have it in front of me. Gosh, it's in another room. It's in another room where the couch is, ironically.
I have this one. Y'all remember this? Y'all remember this hat right here?
I had one.
I did too.
In the 80s.
I guess it was before I was taking steroids to be good at Major League Baseball, because my head must have been smaller. But look, if I wanted to go back in time, I would be using a hat from the game. I love these things. They just aren't hats. They have the same vintage styles that fans wore back in the 80s and 90s. See? And guess what? They still go for the same price they did back then. When you use code Locked On, you'll get your vintage hat for $16.99. Go get you an Alabama hat. Use code Locked On, just Locked On, one word, and get you a hat for $17. Come on now. That's giving it away. You can't afford not to buy one. Head to thegamecaps.com, thegamecaps.com. Grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use code Locked On for an exclusive discount. because the legends wear the game. Legends like Jimmy Stein.
Proctor be so proud that a hat is, I believe, actually sitting on my couch.
That is our irony. So SEC wise, let's talk a little bit about what's going on here. I think Florida was a disappointment, sure, but and Florida fans are not taking it well.
With that schedule they got coming up,
yeah,
and they lose the home game to South Florida,
it's tough.
Buckle up.
Well,
it's what we said all along all summer. Josh Pate put Florida in the playoff. A lot of optimism about Florida this offseason, and I said the whole time, schedule, and heck, South Florida's. Why in the world do you play in the SEC and your non-conference schedule includes South Florida, Miami, and FSU? Nuts. It
is nuts. I also get it. The South Florida thing, they didn't think South Florida would be South Florida now.
I guess so. We just know as Alabama fans, I don't think Alabama's played extremely poorly in both of those games. Like our fans and some of our fans insist. They're just a good football team.
Yeah. Now, so Florida's the only one that lost to a non-con. And again, that's rough. But I look around the league. First thing that jumps out to me is Oklahoma. John Mateer seems to be everything as advertised. And again, yes, maybe you can say Michigan's fallen off a hair since their national championship a little bit ago. But I'll also say this, watching that game, I felt like, okay, these are two really good teams. I mean, you could just see it. It wasn't, they didn't like the scoreboard up, but I think that there were some good defensive play. Justice Haynes broke off a 75-yarder. It was interesting to see that kind of speed from him. I didn't feel like we got that kind of speed from him at Alabama. So, I mean, kudos to him for going all out. We're fine without him, but I'm happy for him. Then you look around at LSU, they sort of floundered a bit. And I think Clemson's meandering about with that's probably not the way to put
Troy.
that, but just messing around with Troy, nonchalanting around.
Not a good sign. Clemson, both games, lose to a terrible second half against LSU. Struggles with Troy.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. They got dudes.
Clemson's at Georgia Tech this weekend. Watch out.
I mean, Clemson has to play much better than they have so far to win that game. I think Clemson's got more good players than Georgia Tech, but not a lot. I mean, Georgia Tech is a legitimate, solid ACC contender. And shout out to the ACC. I think that's a conference that I'm not sure how many people other than Cannell saw this coming, but Cannell says it every year, so he's bound to be right at some point. But I'm just saying the ACC is very, very competitive, good league this year. So far.
Yeah, I think things are going to calm down for them, but
the depth of teams that are good goes beyond what you mean. Obviously Clemson's going to be a contender. Georgia Tech is good. Miami's good. Florida State's good. I'm leaving teams out, but there's other good teams in that league.
But what makes the SEC so different? I look around. First of all, Vanderbilt going to Virginia Tech, getting down 10-0, coming back and winning by double digits. I mean,
amazing.
There is no quarterback in the SEC or in the country that plays within his system as well as Diego Pavia does. I'm not saying Diego Pavia is the best quarterback in the SEC. Frankly, I think it's John Mateer right now. And ESPN apparently thinks it's Bo Pribula. Now, I'm pumping the brakes on Pribula a minute, but I'll say this. I enjoyed watching Missouri play.
Great game.
That Harvey running back, that dude who, by the way, was at ULM last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be a load for us to deal with when we go to Missouri. I'm going to that game too. I'm looking forward to it. But John Mateer, again, he's living up to the billing. Really like what he's doing. Mississippi State, I'm not shocked they beat Arizona State because it's tough to go. When I saw Arizona State preparing for the Mississippi State game with like 4 very small cowbells, I was like, y'all don't know. Y'all just don't know. Yeah. And they didn't know. And Mississippi State, it's a big
needless and incorrect shot of the hotel thing, which is just not even true. And I don't. But hey, like again, the worst team in the SEC. I think Mississippi State is very likely to finish with the worst record in this league. Mississippi State and Kentucky. And then they beat the defending Big 12 champs. There is just no better exhibit in the trial to prove how incredibly tough the SEC is. And in terms of the SEC race, Ole Miss jumped out to a big lead. And when you say, Jimmy, it's only 1-0. No, they won a road game.
Yeah.
They won a road game. That's like winning 2 games, if not 3. I mean, winning a road game in this league, and I know it's just Kentucky. Yeah, but they were fortunate that that's on their schedule, Kentucky. And obviously they get to play Mississippi State too. It just shows how important schedule is in this league. But yeah, Ole Miss now, solid lead in the race to Atlanta.
People aren't going to want to hear this, but Auburn's very solid.
They're good. They're good.
Now, the Auburn-Oklahoma game is going to be a big deal. I don't think
Oklahoma, right?
Is that Oklahoma? And I don't think game day will be there or anything because they were just in Oklahoma for the Michigan game. But just interesting. Texas A&M, I'm not really sure what to think about them. They play Notre Dame this weekend. That's going to be a fun game.
I like A&M. I think I like A&M there. And Notre Dame's pretty good.
What a weird thing for Notre Dame to play one game and then have an off week. So weird.
I like A&M, I think.
Now, again, Georgia, they just sort of messed around, played with their food a little bit when it came to whatever dump truck they were playing. I can't remember. Austin P. And, this Tennessee game, by the way, Tennessee scores over 70 for the first time in the modern era in their history. And so the Georgia-Tennessee game, and Georgia's a 4-point favorite, which I found kind of interesting. I mean, they're getting a Georgia bump now on that spread, because I think if it were if the same talent and different uniforms, I think the line would be reversed.
Yeah, I said this summer Tennessee would win that game and took some heat over it. I don't think I'll take any heat this week for saying Tennessee is likely to beat Georgia. Now, I'm not going to be shocked if it goes the other way. I mean, no one respects what Georgia is more than I do and the job Kirby does. And I think Gunnar Stockton's actually a pretty good football player. But it's, again, winning on the road in this league. I think Oklahoma will beat Auburn because the game's in Norman. If that game was played in Auburn, I'd pick Auburn.
Now, the other thing about Tennessee and Georgia, I'm going to be a Georgia fan because in my head, I can't wrap around Georgia losing to Tennessee week off to lose to Bama.
Not sure it would help Alabama for Georgia to lose that game either. I don't think it's going to help Alabama. It's not like if Georgia loses Tennessee, it's not like they're going to go into the Alabama game going, oh, no, we might not be very good.
Yeah.
No. They would go into the Alabama game in not only revenge mode, but some level of desperation mode. So I don't think it benefits Alabama for Georgia to lose at Tennessee. I just think they will because of the difficulty of winning on the road in the SEC against a really good team. And I think Tennessee's really good. Here's the thing. When people immediately said, Tennessee's not a playoff team, they lost Nico. I knew right then and there, I'm not so sure that they're taking a step back at quarterback. How do you know you're taking a step back? Now look at him now. And I know that Nico doesn't have as many good players at UCLA as he has at Tennessee, but Joey Aguilar is a pretty proven guy, an experienced guy. Heupel has done a lot with less at quarterback. So I didn't think them losing Nico was Nico played terrible against Alabama last year. For everybody listening to the show, watch the Tennessee-Alabama game last year. Tennessee would have been up on Alabama 28-0 if Nico hit the broadside of a barn in the first half. But he missed everything. Hey, this guy this year is not going to miss much.
No. All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.